See. Okay, there we go. I see what I'm showing you now. Hello, fellow guitarists, and welcome to this week's fortnightly um, Guitar Family live lesson. And today we'll talk about construction of guitars. So I'm not showing you something to play today. We're going to be talking more about the guitars and the way they're built and some stuff that might be useful to you to know when you're purchasing a guitar, basically, especially if it's not your first guitar ever. Sorry, I've got a mint. Okay, it's gone now. Good. Also, I'd like to start with saying thanks to your support, to all of the Buy Me a Coffee members for helping to make this possible. If you would like to support what I do, then please head over. I think there's a link below to buy me a coffee and buy me a coffee or become a member if you want to. But yeah, there's a ton of materials. I think this week I shared Bulgarian Kids Easter song. Maybe you're curious to hear that, but either way, if you don't want to do that from there, then you can join our guitar family. Again, link is below, and you'll receive that in your email for free. Okay, so what are you talking about? Yeah, guitar construction and guitar neck joints more specifically. So we're not going to go too much in depth of this, but I'd like to just cover the basics and cover it overall, and go through the three most common types of neck joints. Yeah, so I think there was some questions. Okay, yeah, I'll cover that in a sec after I've said about the three main types. So the neck joint is basically where the neck of your guitars joins with the body of your guitar. So sometimes it's more obvious than other times where the joint is. Like here you can see where the neck ends and that sort of stuff. But how is it joined? Well, you can't really see that very well. What's the construction? So you want this guitar anyway. But yeah, let's start actually with the first type, which is very obvious most of the time, well, on electric guitars anyway, which is bolt-on neck. So it is where the two pieces of the guitar, the two main wooden pieces, which is the neck and the body, are made separately. Thanks, Mom, for liking. I hope that you're having a good time and a good weekend. Yes, so the two pieces are made separately and then are joined by bolts that you can see very clearly here. Sometimes, for example, on fenders, there will be a metal plate where the bolts will be joined, so there'll be a metal plate over this, and you'll still see the bolts though. But on acoustic guitars, there sometimes also is a bolt neck, but that would be hidden in the construction of the guitar, so you won't always see the bolt itself. But yeah, on electric guitars, it's usually not concealed and you can see it very clearly. And this is a cheaper way of manufacturing things because, well, it's held together by screws, right? Also, it makes it easier if you want to get your guitar refretted through years of playing. You know, frets wear down, you get them polished, but then sometimes you need to change the frets. So it makes it easier for the luthier to do that if they can unscrew the neck, because then they just need to protect the neck and not the body of the guitar, right? So it makes it easier for that. What else? Yeah, I think that's the benefit of it, and the other benefit is that it makes the instrument cheaper to buy, right? Because it's an easier way to produce a guitar. The drawback is that hang on. There you go. You can see better now, I think. No? Here. Okay, there we go. The drawback is that it makes the strings sustain a bit less. Which, you know, if you have your bridge and not be made of good materials and depending on your pickups, might not be too much of an issue with an electric guitar. However, it might be a bigger issue when you have an acoustic guitar, which is where you want to hear things and you don't have a way to amplify that with a pickup. Maybe, well, you know, some acoustic guitars have pickups, but it doesn't matter. Maybe you don't have a way to amplify that, you just want to hear it acoustically, then sustain is important. And that's why with acoustic guitars, actually, the most common way to build them, as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, the most common way to build them is with a set neck type with dovetail joint, which is where the two pieces are still separate, the neck and the body of the guitar are still separate, but they're glued together, so they need to fit better and fit tighter like a joint, right? So they fit closer together, whereas this doesn't need to be so precise and perfect. So for example, I don't know if you can see that too well, but you know, there's a tiny bit of distance, maybe a little bit of cracking, maybe not, sometimes, you know, between the neck itself and the body when it's a bolt-on. But when it's a dovetail joint, well, actually with high-end bolt-on necks, you won't have a big distance between the neck and the body as well. Worth mentioning that as well. But yeah, when you have a dovetail joint, they need to fit perfectly because they're held together, the two parts, the neck and the body of the guitar, are held together by glue, right? So yeah, it's glued together, and as a result, the guitar has better sustain. What else? Yeah, I think that was actually one of the questions. What is a dovetail joint? Yeah, so that's what it is. It's where two pieces are made separately, but they fit very snugly together, and some skill is required for that to happen, right? Some level of craftsmanship. So oftentimes guitars like that are electric guitars, will be more expensive. But yeah, that results in a warmer and fuller sound. And what else I said about the sustain? Yeah, basically, maybe as a drawback, if you're looking for one, is that you can't really easily take off the neck and then put it back together if you ever need to refret your guitar. But that's a long-term concern, and it's if you're playing lots and lots. So it depends on that. It can be done by a luthier, of course, and they can also change your frets without taking the neck off of your guitar. Yeah, just making the job for them more difficult. And if you ever want to try that yourself, it's going to be more difficult for you. If you have aspirations to be changing your own frets, you might want to consider a bolt-on neck, because that will make your job easier, if that makes sense. Okay, I don't know why this keeps coming in and out of focus. There we go. Yeah, I guess the camera lost interest. I should move on to the next type. Yeah, set through neck, or neck through, as it's most commonly known. It's used on electric guitars, I'm pretty sure exclusively. And it's where the neck would actually run all the way through the guitar. I don't have one of them because they're, okay, I don't know, because they're more expensive guitars. But they are amazing instruments. Again, require a good level of craftsmanship. There we go, the words came out, the one word actually. Anyway, so it's where the neck, this is not an example on this guitar, but I just wanted to show you what it does. The neck goes all the way through to the end, and what oftentimes will happen is there are just two separate pieces that get glued onto the sides, or joined onto the sides to make up the rest of the body of the guitar. But it is one piece that runs all the way through to the end. So that's a neck through type. And that means that your strings are being held by one piece of wood, right? Well, sometimes it might be a compound neck, right? You can have a few pieces of wood that make up one neck that's still a neck through, but the point is that the vibration of the string runs all the way through the whole instrument. So the sustain of those instruments is much better. Now, because with electric guitar, we of course have our gain that gives us, when we play with overdrive, it gives us further sustain. Sometimes your pickups can help with your sustain. Basically, there's many many things that contribute to the sustain and how much of it you get out of your guitar. But yeah, the neck through is one of those things that can help you have more sustain on your guitar. If that's something you're looking for, then you should look into that sort of guitar. And the other benefit for those guitars is that because the neck goes all the way, hello? Focus. There we go. Because the neck goes all the way through the guitar, basically you don't have to worry about creating a joint, right? Because you don't need to have a bulk of something that your neck is adhered to. So you can actually shape that much better. Of course, you can shape that better than this guitar because, you know, this is my beloved chord. It's not a shredder's guitar, right? It doesn't have easy access. It doesn't have 24 frets, right? It's not made to go too high on it. But yeah, you can have sometimes a bit of more contoured joint, blah, blah. But my point is that with a neck through, you don't really have limitations on how you're going to shape that because it's just the one piece. So you can have easier access to higher up frets. So it's great also if you're looking to be shredding more, playing faster and that sort of stuff. What else? Have I missed something? I said about the sustain. Yeah, easier to play. Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah, so I said all that. So basically that's the most basic stuff. I just wanted to go over the basics on those neck joint types because it's good to know. It's good to know when you're choosing a guitar, to know what your options are and what you're looking at and why one thing looks different to the next thing. We can go in much more detail with that, of course, like what's the best type, but yeah, I don't want to right now. We don't have enough time. But yeah, basically, if you're wondering though, if neck through is better than bolt on, so is neck through better than bolt on, then if you're looking for sustain, yes, it will be better. And if you're looking for higher access to, well, easier access to higher frets, then yes, definitely it is better. It will be pricier though. Usually guitars with a neck through will be pricier, so keep that in mind. Yeah, what else? Yeah, they're not as common as bolt-on neck guitars. So overall though, if basically there's two guitars you're hesitating between and it's only the neck type that's the big difference, then if you can get the neck through, I'd recommend getting that. But if you prefer the feel of a guitar with a bolt-on neck and the sound of it or something else or the looks of it, then get the bolt-on neck. It's also obviously down to personal preference. I just wanted to tell you the differences so that you can make an informed decision on your own guitars and purchases, I guess, future purchases. Or customizations, indeed, if you're ordering a custom guitar. So yeah, also this is available in writing on my blog. Amy wrote a great article on it, and you can, I think there's a link to that in the description. I think I put it there. If I successfully did that and you know, not gone awry with my technology. But yeah, thank you so much for your support overall. Buy Me a Coffee. I wanted to show you what happened, what arrived this week. So a surprise little unboxing thing. Hang on, let me grab it. Yeah, my cable's long enough. It's awesome. So, you guys made this possible, this metronome. Thank you so much for supporting my goal over at Buy Me a Coffee. I have wanted a physical metronome, wind-up metronome ever since I found out about them, but I never got myself one because it seemed like too much of a luxury when there's free ones. Yeah, there we go. Little piece of paper. Let's see. Open it up, and it's wooden. Does it smell good? I don't know. I can't tell. Let's see. Ah, there it is. Am I winding it up? What's happening? Ah, there we go. Haha, to wind it up. And then you can set it up. And these set speeds, and these speeds actually are quite good for speed progression because they're not linear. Yeah, they're not linear. They're not, for example, in fives or in twos or whatever. And that works better because the feel of the speed increase remains the same. Because, for example, when you increase from, let's say, 60 to 66, you've only added 6 beats per minute to the 60 you already had, right? So as a percentage, it's 10% you've added on to that in a minute. And then when you increase, though, from, let's see what we have here, from 120 to 132, is it still 10% that you've added within a minute? Because it's a minute now. Anyway, it's beats per minute, right? But it feels the same from 120 to 132. It feels like the same speed increase as it does from 60 to 66. And yeah, you can actually see that because it's double 60 is 120, double 66 is 132. So does that mean that it's still 10%? My maths are amazing, as you can tell. But yeah, so this is great for practice. The speeds of an analog metronome are great for practicing, for when you're increasing your speed when practicing. So let me play you a little something. Okay, it's roughly in tune. Let me play a little something I've been enjoying playing. Oh, I tongued myself. But yeah, I've also been enjoying sight reading this little booklet because it's, I don't know, nice and simple and relaxing. And then I like not having screens in front of me, so this will massively help me with that because then I won't need a screen on a metronome to get these things up to speed. So let's try this at 104. There you go. Let's move on. Thank you so much for making this metronome happen. I really, really appreciate it. Hey, now you'll get to see it all the time. Yeah, thank you so much for your support. And let me know if you have any questions, whether it be about the neck joint types or whether you have any guitar related questions. And I'll answer those in our next live lesson, which should be in 2 weeks. Hang on, let me just double check. The 2nd, oh no, we're skipping that. So it will be on the 9th of September is when we will have, because I'm having some time off on the 2nd of September. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this or found it informative. And yeah, if you feel like something's holding you back from progressing and moving along in your guitar journey, let me know so we can address it and figure it out together. I hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend and see you in a good few weeks. All right, bye now. And thanks again so much for your support.